It had been building for weeks. Quiet tension behind locker room doors, subtle looks exchanged on the sidelines, and an uneasy silence that even the most loyal fans could sense. But when Stefanski finally made the call to bench Shedeur Sanders, the breaking point every Browns fan had feared became reality. Cleveland wasn't just making a lineup change, it was lighting a match to its own future. Shedeur wasn't supposed to be here, not like this. From the moment he stepped onto an NFL field, the spotlight followed him. The cameras, the critics, the constant comparisons to his father, it all came with the territory. But beneath the flash and fame, Shedeur carried something different. He had the calmness of a veteran, the discipline of someone who had been doubted his entire life. And that's exactly what made this benching sting even more. To the outside world, this looked like strategy, a coach protecting his team from rookie mistakes. But to those paying attention, it felt personal. Stefanski's decision wasn't just about performance. It was about control, politics, and perhaps even ego. Reports claimed tension between the coaching staff and Shedeur's inner circle had been brewing for weeks. Insiders described heated discussions about play calling, leadership dynamics, and even how much freedom Shedeur should have at the line of scrimmage. Fans didn't take long to react. Social media exploded within minutes of the news breaking, hashtags, debates, even former players weighing in. Some said Shedeur needed time to learn the system. Others called it the biggest mistake Cleveland made in years. But one thing was clear, this decision divided the fanbase like never before. Behind closed doors, teammates were left speechless. Some quietly supported their young QB, while others were forced to toe the organizational line. The locker room wasn't fractured yet, but the cracks were visible. And as reporters swarmed the facility looking for answers, the Browns' carefully built image of unity started to crumble. This wasn't just another football story, it was a test of loyalty, leadership, and legacy. Because once the dust settled, one question lingered louder than all the rest. Had the Browns just benched their future? It all started in Detroit, a game that was supposed to be routine, but quickly turned into a full-blown disaster. The Browns came in with confidence, riding a wave of preseason hype that had fans believing this might finally be their year. But by halftime, that optimism had evaporated. What unfolded at Ford Field wasn't just a bad performance. It was the moment everything began to unravel. Shedeur Sanders entered that game under immense pressure. Every throw, every read, every snap was being dissected by analysts waiting for him to fail. Early on, he showed flashes of brilliance, quick releases, poise in the pocket, the kind of calm that made scouts label him the future. But when the offensive line started collapsing and play calling grew conservative, Shedeur was left stranded. He wasn't just playing against the Lions' defense, he was fighting against his own system. By the third quarter, frustration was written all over his face. Cameras caught him shaking his head on the sideline after yet another predictable play call stalled a drive. Meanwhile, head coach Stefanski stood stone-faced, refusing to adjust. The tension between quarterback and coach was no longer rumor. It was visible, live, and uncomfortable. The breaking point came late in the fourth. Down by 2 scores, Cleveland desperately needed momentum. But instead of letting Shedeur lead the offense in a hurry-up situation, Stefanski pulled him. The stadium went silent for a second, then the boos started. Even opposing fans couldn't believe it. The young quarterback, who had fought tooth and nail to earn this spot, was benched in the middle of a statement game. Afterward, reporters swarmed Stefanski for answers. His response was vague, something about protecting the team's rhythm. But fans didn't buy it. Rumors immediately swirled about a heated exchange between Shedeur and the coaching staff during halftime. Some claimed it was about missed assignments. Others said it was about respect. Either way, that night in Detroit changed everything. Because once Shedeur walked off that field, you could feel it. The trust between him and his head coach had been shattered. And in the NFL, once that bond is broken, there's almost no way to repair it. The dilemma surrounding Shedeur Sanders wasn't just about one bad game, it was about identity. The Browns had to decide what kind of team they wanted to be. Were they going to trust a young, composed quarterback with superstar potential, or would they cling to a rigid system that left no room for individuality? That question became the heart of Cleveland's chaos. From the start, Shedeur wasn't treated like a typical rookie. His name carried weight, his highlights flooded social media, and his composure under pressure made him look years ahead of schedule. But that spotlight was a double-edged sword. Every small mistake was magnified, every sideline interaction dissected. Reports claimed that some within the Browns organization felt Shedeur's growing influence, especially off the field, made certain coaches uneasy. He wasn't just the new guy in the locker room. He was a brand, a presence, and that made people uncomfortable. Stefanski, known for his disciplined and methodical style, struggled to find common ground with his young quarterback. Stefanski's system demanded precision and control, but Shedeur thrived on instinct and adaptability. Where Stefanski saw risk, Shedeur saw opportunity. And when that creative spark was repeatedly shut down, frustration started to bubble beneath the surface. Behind the scenes, players began to notice. Some quietly admired Shedeur's leadership and calmness despite the circumstances. Others whispered about tension between him and the coaching staff. Insiders described meetings that ended abruptly, film sessions filled with disagreement, and even a few awkward moments where Stefanski's authority seemed to be tested. The dilemma was bigger than football, it was philosophical. Could a coach built on structure coexist with a quarterback built on intuition? Cleveland was watching that question play out in real time, and with every passing week, the divide grew wider. Fans started to sense it too. They could see the disconnect, the hesitation in Shedeur's play calling, the body language on the sidelines, the lack of trust in critical moments. The Browns weren't just losing games, they were losing cohesion. What made it worse was that deep down, everyone knew Shedeur had it. The confidence, the poise, the arm talent, everything a franchise dreams of. But when a coach and quarterback stop believing in each other, talent alone can't save the season. For weeks, Shedeur Sanders stayed quiet, at least publicly. He did interviews, smiled for cameras, and said all the right things. But behind that calm demeanor was a growing storm. When the Browns' decision to bench him dominated headlines, the pressure finally became too heavy to ignore. And that's when Shedeur, known for his controlled composure, decided to speak out. It didn't come in the form of a fiery press conference or a media outburst. Instead, it started subtly, a cryptic post on social media. Just 4 words, they always fold first. No tags, no hashtags, no direct mentions, but everyone knew who and what he was referring to. Within minutes, the post went viral. Fans dissected every word, and analysts flooded the airwaves debating its meaning. Some called it immaturity. Others saw it as a statement, a young leader finally standing up for himself. When reporters pressed him later that week, Shedeur didn't back down. He spoke carefully, but his tone carried weight. "I'm here to win," he said. "That's all that matters to me. Everything else I can't control." Simple words, but loaded with meaning. It was clear he felt misunderstood, maybe even sidelined in more ways than one. Those close to the team say his message wasn't meant to stir drama, it was meant to set boundaries. For months, Shedeur had been walking a tightrope, trying to balance respect for his coaches with the need to establish himself as a leader. But the Detroit debacle and the benching that followed made it clear. Silence wasn't helping. Inside the locker room, his comments sparked mixed reactions. Some teammates reportedly rallied around him, praising his confidence. Others worried it would widen the already fragile gap between player and coach. Stefanski, when asked about the statement, brushed it off. "We're focused on football," he said, but his clipped tone told a different story. For Shedeur, this wasn't rebellion, it was release. After months of restraint, he finally let the world know he wasn't just another player waiting for instructions. He wanted ownership, accountability, and respect. And as fans debated whether his words were justified or reckless, one thing became clear. Shedeur Sanders wasn't going to stay quiet anymore. Behind the polished press conferences and game day smiles, the Browns' locker room told a very different story. What was once a space filled with confidence and belief had turned into a quiet, uneasy battlefield. Players who used to joke and celebrate together now kept to themselves, careful about what they said and who they said it to. When Shedeur Sanders was benched, it didn't just affect him. It sent a shockwave through the entire team. Some veterans quietly agreed with Stefanski's decision, insisting it was about discipline and readiness. But a younger core, especially those who had built chemistry with Shedeur during camp, saw it as a betrayal. They felt their guy had been set up to fail. The divide wasn't loud or dramatic at first, but it was there, growing stronger with every passing day. One insider described it perfectly. It wasn't open war, but it felt like two teams sharing the same locker room. Meetings became tense. Practice energy dropped, and even the post-game speeches started feeling forced. Players would nod at Stefanski, clap out of routine, then head to their lockers in silence. Shedeur, for his part, stayed professional. He showed up early, stayed late, and kept his head down. But his presence alone seemed to shift the energy. When he walked in, some teammates gravitated toward him, others avoided eye contact, afraid of getting caught in the middle. You could feel the fracture, a quiet division between those who believed in the player and those who followed the coach. Reporters started picking up on it too. Leaks began surfacing about tension behind closed doors, disagreements in meetings, lack of trust in leadership, and players questioning the message. None of it was confirmed, but everyone knew something wasn't right. For Cleveland, this kind of atmosphere was dangerous. A team can lose games and bounce back, but once the locker room splits, recovery becomes almost impossible. Stefanski tried to control the narrative, saying, "We're united," but the body language told another story. Because deep down, the players knew what the fans were beginning to realize. This wasn't just about football anymore. It was about loyalty, belief, and who the team truly wanted to follow. Kevin Stefanski had always been known as the calm, measured type, a coach who never let emotions dictate his decisions. But lately, that calmness was starting to look more like stubbornness. As the Browns' season began to spiral, fans, analysts, and even some within the organization started asking the same question. Had Stefanski finally lost control of his team? The benching of Shedeur Sanders was supposed to reset the locker room. Instead, it made things worse. Every week that passed without clear improvement only added more fuel to the fire. Local sports radio hosts tore into Stefanski's decision-making, calling it tone-deaf and out of touch. National pundits questioned whether his system, once praised for its structure, had become outdated in a league built on adaptability. Inside the organization, the tension was palpable. Sources claimed that the front office wasn't blind to the growing backlash. Ownership reportedly held closed-door meetings to evaluate the situation, while whispers suggested that Stefanski's relationship with his players had hit a breaking point. Even the assistants, once loyal to his disciplined approach, were beginning to sense the shift. What hurt Stefanski most was perception. For the first time, he wasn't seen as the calm leader in control. He was the man blamed for silencing a rising star. Every camera angle showing Shedeur on the bench, helmet in hand, became a symbol of everything wrong with Cleveland's direction. The fan base, already exhausted by years of frustration, turned their anger toward the coach. Chants started echoing from the stands. "Let him play! Let him play!" And it wasn't just noise. Reports began circulating that certain veterans were privately voicing concerns about communication and trust. Translation: the locker room no longer believed in its leader. By midseason, the pressure had reached its peak. Stefanski faced questions at every press conference about his decisions, his locker room, and his future. He stayed composed, insisting everything was under control. But his eyes told a different story. The truth was, the walls were closing in. Once hailed as the coach who brought stability to Cleveland, Stefanski now found himself fighting to keep his job, and to prove that the team hadn't already slipped through his fingers. Shedeur Sanders isn't just any rookie quarterback. From the moment he was born, football was part of his DNA. His father, Deion Sanders, one of the most electrifying and respected players in NFL history, shaped Shedeur's approach to the game. Growing up, he wasn't just watching highlights or catching passes in the backyard. He was learning strategy, preparation, and mental toughness from one of the all-time greats. That kind of mentorship is rare, and it shows every time Shedeur steps on the field. At Colorado, he didn't just survive, he thrived. He faced pressure in the pocket, hostile defenses, and high-stakes moments week after week. He learned to read defenses quickly, make tight window throws, and maintain composure under stress. Observers noted his football IQ was beyond his years, and his confidence was evident in every play. It wasn't just raw talent. It was preparation, discipline, and a unique understanding of what it takes to succeed at the highest level. But pedigree and potential don't always guarantee immediate NFL success. Shedeur is still learning the speed of the professional game, the nuances of timing with receivers, and the ways defenses adapt to a quarterback's style. Yet even with those adjustments, his tools are undeniable: arm strength, accuracy, mobility, and poise in the pocket. He's the kind of player who can elevate a team if given the chance. The Browns' situation makes his potential even more tantalizing. Joe Flacco, now 40, is struggling, and Dylan Gabriel hasn't yet proven he can lead a team consistently. Shedeur represents not just an option, but a potential cornerstone, a quarterback around whom Cleveland can rebuild. Fans and analysts alike have noticed that when Shedeur has the ball, the energy on the field changes. Receivers move faster, the offensive line snaps to attention, and there's a sense of urgency and belief that's otherwise missing. More than anything, Shedeur brings hope. Hope that the Browns can finally stop wasting talent and start building toward the future. Hope that a young, hungry quarterback can turn a struggling offense into something dynamic and competitive. And hope that, after years of disappointment, fans might finally have someone to rally behind. Even the most talented quarterback can struggle behind a poor offensive line, and the Cleveland Browns are learning that lesson the hard way. Joe Flacco's struggles have drawn the headlines, but the truth is, the foundation in front of him is crumbling. Injuries, aging veterans, and expiring contracts have left the Browns scrambling for consistency, and the consequences are clear: pressure on the quarterback, stalled drives, and turnovers. Cornelius Lucas has been overmatched against elite pass rushers, allowing defenders to collapse the pocket repeatedly. Jack Conklin's recurring injuries have limited his availability, while Jedrick Wills' latest knee surgery has left yet another hole in the line. Wyatt Teller and Ethan Posick face uncertainty with free agency looming, and Joel Bitonio may not be the same force he once was. The entire starting five, in some capacity, is either unavailable or vulnerable. For a rookie like Shedeur Sanders, this presents a daunting challenge. His poise and arm strength can only go so far when defenders are constantly in his face. The risk of injury, hurried throws, and mental pressure skyrockets with every broken protection. And yet, despite the danger, this may also be the perfect proving ground. If Shedeur can handle the chaos in front of him, it speaks volumes about his toughness, decision-making, and readiness for the NFL.
If you enjoyed today's breakdown and want to keep up with all the drama, trades, and behind-the-scenes action in the NFL, then don't forget to hit that like button.
Coaches are caught in a bind. Protecting a rookie quarterback is essential, but the reality is that the offensive line won't improve overnight. Rookies are often judged unfairly when lines fail, but the Browns' situation is systemic. Without addressing the front five, the team can't truly evaluate quarterback talent. You can't test a quarterback's full potential behind a line that can't hold up. Fans, too, have noticed. Social media and local commentary often blame Flacco for every misstep, but savvy observers point to the line as the root cause of many mistakes. Yet the coaching staff has to balance development with protection, and that's why Shedeur's opportunity has been delayed. The offensive line crisis isn't just a short-term problem. With several players facing contracts and injuries, Cleveland could be facing a complete rebuild in front of their quarterbacks. For Shedeur, this means that every snap is both a risk and an opportunity. How he handles it could determine whether he becomes the team's future or if the Browns are forced back into the draft. Cleveland Browns fans are no strangers to frustration, but the current situation has pushed their patience to the absolute limit. Week after week, they've watched turnovers pile up, drives stall, and promising talent sit idle on the bench. Every misstep on the field feels magnified because the potential, with players like Shedeur Sanders, is so obvious. Fans aren't just upset about losses, they're furious about missed opportunities and decisions that seem to ignore the team's long-term future. The benching of Shedeur Sanders became a flashpoint. Social media exploded with speculation, debate, and outrage. Hashtags calling for him to play started trending within hours of game day, and forums were filled with fans questioning the wisdom of sticking with Joe Flacco. It wasn't just about one rookie. It was about the organization failing to make bold, necessary moves. People started to ask the tough questions. Why is a 40-year-old quarterback getting more chances than the team's future? Are we wasting the potential of a franchise quarterback? Inside bars, living rooms, and tailgates, the frustration is palpable. Fans vent in real time during games, with chants, groans, and heated commentary spilling across stadiums and social media feeds. Calls to fire coaches, bench veterans, and start rookies dominate conversations. The fan base has reached a boiling point because they see the talent sitting right there, untouched, while the team continues to struggle. Some fans are patient, arguing that development takes time and that rookies need protection. But patience is thinning. With the Browns' defense playing well and skilled players showing flashes of ability, the argument that the team just needs time is losing credibility. Fans know that quarterback play is the difference maker, and right now, that position is the team's Achilles heel. The boiling point is more than just emotion. It's a demand for accountability. Every bad snap, every turnover, every conservative decision by the coaching staff feeds into the growing unrest. Fans aren't just watching the games. They're analyzing the organization's choices, questioning leadership, and fearing that the Browns might waste yet another season. For the Browns, this isn't just pressure, it's a reckoning. The fans want change, and they want it now. Their patience has limits, and they're ready to hold coaches and management accountable if they fail to act. With Shedeur Sanders waiting in the wings, the question isn't just about games lost. It's about whether Cleveland will finally seize the chance to build for the future. The upcoming game in London isn't just another matchup on the schedule. It's a turning point for the Cleveland Browns. Fans, analysts, and even players see it as the ultimate test. Will Kevin Stefanski make the bold choice to shake up a struggling offense, or will he cling to the familiar, flawed status quo? The stakes couldn't be higher. All eyes are on quarterback decisions. Joe Flacco, at 40, has thrown an NFL-high number of interceptions, with turnovers piling up at a rate that would make even casual observers wince. Meanwhile, Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders sit on the sidelines, ready but untested in real NFL action. The London game presents the perfect opportunity to inject new energy into the team. A chance to finally see if the future of the franchise can emerge under the bright lights on an international stage. Fans are already voicing their expectations. Social media campaigns are trending, urging Stefanski to start either Gabriel or Sanders. Podcasts, live streams, and forums are filled with debates about who can spark the offense, who can protect the future of the franchise, and who deserves a shot before the season slips away entirely. The chatter is relentless, and the message is clear. Cleveland is done waiting. From a strategic standpoint, the London game offers unique advantages. A fresh setting, different crowd, and international spotlight could relieve some of the pressure that weighs heavily on Flacco, giving a rookie quarterback a chance to play with confidence and creativity. It's a situation that could energize the offense and unify the locker room. Or, if Stefanski chooses to stay with Flacco, it could exacerbate the existing frustration and deepen divisions. For Shedeur Sanders, this isn't just a game, it's a statement. It's an opportunity to prove that his confidence isn't empty, that his preparation under his legendary father's mentorship has equipped him for the NFL. Every fan watching will scrutinize his every move, every throw, and every decision in the pocket. Success could silence critics, ignite hope, and shift the trajectory of the season. Failure could be a valuable learning experience, but also a missed moment of urgency from the coaching staff. Ultimately, the London game is more than a contest. It's an ultimatum. Stefanski must decide whether to embrace the future, take a calculated risk, and give the rookies their shot, or cling to an aging veteran who has consistently underperformed. The eyes of Cleveland and much of the NFL will be watching. The Cleveland Browns are standing at a crossroads, and every decision made in the next few weeks could define the team's direction for years. The quarterback position, long the linchpin of the franchise's success or failure, remains the central question. Joe Flacco's struggles highlight the immediate problem, but the bigger story is about what the Browns do to secure their future. Shedeur Sanders represents more than just a rookie quarterback. He embodies potential, pedigree, and the chance to build something lasting. His college career at Colorado showed he could handle pressure, read defenses, and deliver in critical moments. His upbringing under Deion Sanders instilled not only physical skills, but also mental toughness, leadership, and the ability to thrive under scrutiny. With Shedeur, the Browns have a chance to invest in a long-term solution, someone who could anchor the franchise for a decade if given the opportunity. Yet potential alone doesn't guarantee success. The team must surround him with support, a competent offensive line, reliable receivers, and smart play calling. The Browns' current roster shows flashes of talent, particularly on defense and in the running game, but inconsistency up front could derail a young quarterback's development. Management must make calculated decisions, draft wisely, protect the quarterback, and create an environment where growth is possible without constant panic. Failing to act risks more than one season lost. Relying on Flacco or indecision with the rookies could cost the Browns' draft positioning, fan trust, and locker room morale. Cleveland has spent years chasing stability at quarterback, and another wasted year would only deepen frustration among fans and players alike. The organization must weigh short-term results against long-term vision, balancing the need for immediate competitiveness with the importance of evaluating young talent. The stakes extend beyond wins and losses. The franchise's identity is on the line. Cleveland has struggled for decades to maintain continuity and trust in leadership. Giving Shedeur a chance, whether immediately or gradually, signals a commitment to building for the future rather than simply treading water. It's about creating hope, energizing the fan base, and establishing a quarterback who can carry the team for years to come. Ultimately, the Browns' next steps will define their legacy. Will they seize the opportunity, embrace the potential of Shedeur Sanders, and chart a clear path forward? Or will stubbornness and fear of change keep them trapped in mediocrity? The future of the franchise hangs in the balance, and every snap, every decision, and every week matters more than ever. Shedeur Sanders' journey with the Cleveland Browns is poised on a knife's edge. Every play, every practice, and every decision by the coaching staff could determine whether he rises to stardom or struggles under the weight of expectation. The hype surrounding him isn't just hype. It's built on pedigree, preparation, and raw talent. But in the NFL, potential doesn't always translate into immediate success. For Shedeur, the pressure is intense. Fans are watching closely, waiting for him to prove he can transform a struggling offense. Analysts dissect his every throw, his footwork, and his ability to read defenses. One mistake, one interception, and critics are ready to question whether he's truly ready for the league. But those who know him point out that he thrives under pressure, a trait honed under the tutelage of his father, Deion Sanders, and tested during high-stakes moments at Colorado. He's shown resilience before, bouncing back from mistakes with poise and determination. The opportunity to rise won't come without challenges. The Browns' offensive line remains inconsistent, the receiving core has struggled with drops, and the coaching staff system hasn't always been forgiving to young quarterbacks. Every game will test Shedeur's decision-making, arm strength, and mental toughness. But these challenges also provide the perfect stage for growth. Overcoming adversity early in his career could accelerate his development and cement his reputation as a leader who can carry a team through chaos. The alternative is just as stark. If he falters, if the team fails to support him, and if Stefanski continues to hesitate, the narrative shifts quickly from future star to missed opportunity. Fans and media are unforgiving, and the NFL is full of promising quarterbacks who never reached their potential due to circumstances beyond their control. Ultimately, Shedeur's rise or fall is intertwined with the Browns' willingness to embrace change. If he gets reps, confidence, and protection, his ceiling is sky-high. But if the organization clings to old habits and veterans past their prime, the momentum that has built around him could dissipate before it ever translates into real impact. The coming weeks are decisive. Shedeur Sanders has the talent, intelligence, and confidence to succeed, but the question remains, will Cleveland give him the stage he needs, or will he remain a spectator, watching another season slip away? His rise or fall may define not only his career, but the future of the franchise itself.
If you enjoyed today's breakdown and want to keep up with all the drama, trades, and behind-the-scenes action in the NFL, then don't forget to hit that like button. It really helps this channel grow and lets us know you love this kind of content. And hey, don't keep it to yourself. Share this video with your friends, your group chats, or anyone who loves football as much as you do. The more the conversation spreads, the better it gets. Most importantly, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel and tap the notification bell. That way, you'll never miss when we drop fresh stories, wild rumors, or breaking updates that the mainstream media won't talk about.